Jorginho was identified as the #1 man for Chelsea in terms of importance.
I disagree entirely. I'm not a fan of Jorginho. I've seen him play for Napoli. Napoli were a good side, and I looked at their team, and when I'm picking out players, Jorginho would have been the 8th or 9th player I'd have picked out of their team as the most important player. I can't see what Sarri sees in him quite as much. He's not athletic. If you saw him playing the Community Shield, he had an absolute shocker in that game. He was better against Huddersfield, but against the very best teams, I think people can run off of him. He's not going to be a creative passer. He's a passer who just passes it square and sideways. He just keeps things moving. I don't think he's a good defensive player. I don't think he's a good player in that holding midfield role. I know Sarri relied on him at Napoli, but again, I didn't think he was one of their best players. So I can't see him being Chelsea's most important player.
I'm with Robbo here. I mean, listen, he might have a good season, I don't know. But I think it is utter nonsense to suggest that he's the most important player for Chelsea. I tell you why. He wouldn't even be in the top 2. Eden Hazard's way more important. And more important than that, if Jorginho's not having a good time, he's got a better holding midfielder already there, and N'Golo Kante, who, by the way, was Player of the Year and won the World Cup with France. So to suggest Jorginho is the most important player, I just don't buy it.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Well, Kante was 2 and Eden Hazard was 3 in that list. Julien, do you have a take on this? Can you see why perhaps Jorginho was nominated as the most important?
No, I'm a bit struggling as well. I'm like the boys. I mean, it's very early days in his Chelsea career and he might prove us wrong. And I hope for Chelsea and Maurizio Sarri that he does. But above N'Golo Kante and Eden Hazard and even probably other players, yeah, not for me.
If Real Madrid and Barcelona were chasing a holding midfield player and there was 2 players to pick from, and Bayern Munich and all the big teams, Juventus, and there was Jorginho and N'Golo Kante, who's just won the World Cup, and we know how good he's been. Who do you think these players, these teams would pick or select? Who do you think? Who would they select?
They certainly would
They would select N'Golo Kante, wouldn't they? So who's come up with that damn bloody list?
The argument the blogger uses is that he sets the tone and the tempo for Sarri, unlike any other Chelsea. Potentially. I mean, it's all potential.
Well, I don't know if he saw something different in Napoli, but let's be honest, Jorginho's played 2 games for Chelsea here. One, they got embarrassed at the hands of Manchester City. The other was against Huddersfield. Eden Hazard didn't start. I really don't get how Jorginho somehow gets...
As a holding midfield player, you need to have athleticism to cover your fullbacks. You need to be a good reader of the game, get in between your centre-halves when balls are in wide areas. You need to be able to close the ball down and win it back. You need to be able to be, I would say, still a creative passer. Jorginho, I don't think he's got any of those qualities.